Alright, so I want to answer the question, is Craftsman old DeWalt tools? And I would say definitely yes. And I have this Craftsman brushless grinder right here. You can find it on clearance, super cheap right now. This handle is crazy huge. This is a monster of a handle. But I got this thing for, I think it was down to $42, I believe. And it's a pretty strong little grinder. I mean, and I believe this is probably one of the safest grinders if you're a beginner and you're not used to using these things, because they're one of the more dangerous cordless tools you can buy. And that's pretty much all I use, is different types of grinders, most time fabricating, and then doing restoration work. I'm doing a ton of that. And so I definitely think this is pretty much a DeWalt. Here's a similar DeWalt. 4 amp hour battery. And I mean, let's take this handle off. This thing's a monster. Might be the biggest grinder handle I've ever seen. Like, if you look at the vents down here and the base of this thing, and you really just look along it, there's some small changes. The head's different, the locking mechanism, but you can really see it's very similar, like the mold and the rubber over molds. See the base of this one? It's almost identical. That spot, these ventings, like this has a mesh cover on it. That one's just open vents, which it's meant for a little bit more heavy duty stuff with this one probably, but it's very similar in tool. And even the power of them, they're both 4 amp hour batteries on them. I mean, the Craftsman almost feels stronger, and it is actually a little longer, so it does give it more room to have a little bit bigger of a motor possibly in it. But I'm not 100% sure about that. But I have used it a little bit, and I would say this is the safest grinder that you can start out with if you're not like used to using a grinder, because I know some people who have been hurt pretty bad messing around with an angle grinders with cut-off wheels on them and having kickback, and they will hurt you. And I also have a video coming out about some protection stuff. It's not actually a tool, but it's one of the most important tools that I have right now, so I have that one coming here soon too. And but I definitely think this is a good grinder for someone to start out with, and it's not a ton of power, and neither is this one, but it's nice having an extra for me. And I wanted to check it out, see, because it's such a good deal. I figured if it is worth buying, and I can let some people know, or but I definitely think it is basically a DeWalt. It's a hair longer than that one, but this is this is the Power Detect from Lowe's, which is like the Flex Volt from Home Depot. So this is the brushless grinder from Craftsman. Not that one with the handle on it is the brushed one, and it looks almost identical to the old DeWalt with the knuckle guard. They both had it, and they look really similar too. So I do believe these are like repurposed old DeWalt stuff, which was always really good quality tools. And an apprentice starting out or something, there's no shame in going Craftsman, man. I'm really impressed with some of these 20-volt tools for someone starting out. And one pretty neat thing that it does feature that you don't see on many high-end grinders ever, I guess. Maybe it's just not safe or something, but none of the expensive ones I ever see have these right on the top. and it is kind of nice for doing these wire wheels because you want to have control on different angles and stuff, and so that I do like having that screw in the top or either side. There's 3 spots on this. There's 2 on this one. There's 2 on the Milwaukee, and pretty much all of them. There's always 2, you know, and I do like that extra hole up top to have an extra spot to mount a handle, you know, because it's in the way on the sides a lot of the time. And so I would say go and buy it if you're interested in looking for a grinder really cheap. I mean, you can find it anywhere from 40 I think 75 was the higher clearance prices, but it'll be somewhere in between there, and it'll keep going down if no one buys them out. But they will go quick when people start getting hip to what nice grinders they actually are and what other nice tools they are. And even this DeWalt 4 amp hour battery. Let's take a real good look at each of these now. So here's the DeWalt 4 amp hour XR battery. The button, there's the front. Other side. Really get a good look at it. Now let's look at this guy. See these buttons in the front? Except for these ones you have to hold on the whole time. They won't stay on unless you... So let's change here. It's the same screen in a different color. Oh yeah. I mean, they are pretty much the old style DeWalt XR 4 amp hour batteries. So, you know they're good batteries that Craftsman's giving you with this stuff too. It's as good as these XRs, which are still a very expensive battery. But now they have the compact 4 amps with the new cells. But really, these are a really good system for an apprentice to get into or something. From what I've seen, I haven't used in many of the tools, not to be honest. This grinder is really the first tool I mess with any length of time. And I think that it's a good grinder and that these other tools look really close to the DeWalt. So I would say that they're pretty much all going to be a lot of repurposed DeWalt molds and motors and stuff now that they have their newer versions, their older brushless maybe or something, because it's very, very similar. These batteries almost fit on each other. Like this little edge right here keeps it from going all the way in, but you can see how this battery, it'll line up, these vents and everything. The only thing that won't line up is how this one sits up so much higher. It goes over the top of the front of the battery. See, that hangs over, and this one has a lip it sits tight against. So it doesn't fit on there, but it's basically a DeWalt battery. So yes, my answer is I believe that DeWalt is Craftsman is old DeWalt.